Hi, does this thing even work? It's been long. I connected my microphone to my laptop to record anything. It felt like I didn't even know how to use a microphone and this Adobe software. Everything seems so weird and, almost new. Yeah, it's been long. I have done a recording. So it feels very unfamiliar. It feels like this is my first time recording the podcast. I still remember when I started the podcast in 2020, my first recording with a very wacky piece of headphones. Audio was very bad back then, but happy for everything so far. It's been almost more than 3 years now that Interneuron has existed, so that's quite something. Yeah, I mean, it's just nice to talk into a microphone again and just say things. Life has been pretty busy, and that's why I've not really had the opportunity to sit down and just record. I do write in here and there when I have the time, and then I upload those essays or thoughts on my blog, but isn't really as intimate as voice communication. I've learned. I think a lot of people really like this podcast just because of you're hearing information, you can hear it on the go, you can learn it whatever you're learning, you can learn it on the go, and just it feels very personal hearing a person's voice. So sorry to all the people I have disappointed. Yeah, I mean, it's so nice to be doing a podcast again. I don't exactly know what I want to talk about, but I decided to plug my microphone and ramble inside for a bit. I don't exactly know if this would be an episode, but I will listen to it and figure out if I want to upload it. But right now, I've been, thinking about a lot of things and, mostly observing life, the world, myself, people, you know, the wars in Russia, Ukraine, in Gaza and Israel. I've been seeing things happening back home in Nigeria, even here in the United States. There's a lot of things. There's just so much happening all at once. Some people drag some other people there, like you're not, putting a voice, you're not giving a voice to this struggle or that struggle that's happening over there, or you're not saying anything about it. I see those kind of talks sometimes on social media, like people accusing other people of not lending a voice to certain issues or saying anything about it. But I feel like we have to understand that there's only so much that, people can lend their voice to or talk about. I feel like we shouldn't be dragging people to say things they probably don't even know anything about. And that's just the fact of life. The fact that something pains me severely doesn't mean it pains another person, or the fact that something is paining another person severely doesn't mean it pains me. So I mean, I can show empathy, I can show support if I can, but I don't necessarily have to most times in situations because I have my own problems. Everybody has their own problems, or but just nothing I can do sometimes. There are some problems that have existed long before we were born, and they're still existing. Some of us can't really do anything but focus on what we can do. There are many things I can do for myself, and for other issues that I see on a day-to-day basis, but there are some things that I can't really do anything about. So when people begin to say things like, "Oh, you're not talking about this, you're not talking about that," accusing other people on social media, or just disturbing other people on social media, you just need to understand that that's not the way the world works, man. The fact that something is big to you just doesn't mean it's like big to another person. And I get it, people are dying, people are sick and dying every day, in different parts of the world. But even where I am right now, people are sick and dying too. There's just so much, the fact that we have this instant communication and media and the internet, or we can just have access to the world all at once. It makes us think that we should be stretching like ourselves too thin, that we should give our attention to almost everything that we see. But I don't necessarily think so. I mean, it's very good that we can have access to all these stories all at once in real time, but as a person, there's only so much you can do. Even for yourself or just for your local environment, and for the world at large, you need to calm down sometimes. If you can help, you can help, but if you can't, you make peace with the fact that there's nothing really you can do. If you feel like your Instagram or Twitter post is helping in any way, do that. But for some people, they don't necessarily feel that that's anything or that is helpful in any way, and then they don't do it. So, I think it's one of those situations where there's no right or no wrong. If you feel like what you're doing is helpful, do it. You don't necessarily need to tell other people what to do. Yeah, I went on a tangent about the wars and social media. It's just because it's something I usually see most times when there's like a social or political issue. People telling other people what to do with their platform or that platform or this platform. I know it feels painful that, someone, you see a celebrity, they have a platform and you want them to lend a voice to a certain issue you care about, but they're not necessarily doing that, but, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. So, yeah, c'est la vie, such is life. It's been pretty good or busy for me down here. I would say both. It's been good and it's been busy. It's just very eventful right now. Plenty deadlines, just a lot of stuff happening all at once. Research is getting more busy, and life itself is getting packed. But I'm very happy that my head is above water, and then I can do certain things that I love, like writing, like reading, and the rest. Feels very different, When I started this podcast, it was just in my parents' house in 2020 now. And then I continued when I moved out in 21 and was doing other things there and then scaled from there. But it's a really nice time for me right now. There's just more new problems, new challenges, and every day I think about how I'm going to handle those issues that I face. But so far, I would say my head is above water, so I feel very good and confident about like fighting through anything that's coming my way. I'm pretty much focused on trying to define the story I want to tell for my PhD, which is something that I constantly think about. Like, I don't really know what my PhD thesis is going to be about, but yeah, I mean, I know when I even started this podcast, I didn't realize that I'll probably get into the PhD program because that was what was on my mind at the time, but I didn't really see it through at the time just because I was having a lot of doubts in myself that I would get into PhD program. But yeah, I mean, here I am right now, I'm doing it, but I just need to make it count. Yeah. So I wanted to check in on my faithful listeners, the people who listen faithfully, who constantly reach out and ask me when I would drop a new episode. I hope you all are doing great because, I just it's been a long time that I talked with some people or some people contacted me, but occasionally some people reach out and they ask me, hey bro, when are you gonna drop a new podcast, or what's up with you? You've gotten, you've been very low key. I've been very low key on all social media platforms. I don't really communicate broadly as I used to, or even voice any opinion these days. It's just more doing my work and going to sleep, talking to some people that I like. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I would probably have time to do a full length conversation episode in the future, but I want to do this just to tell everyone that Kelvin is still alive and he's still very much interested in stories. I really want to tell stories and I want to hear perspective. I want to have conversations. I want to talk with people. I think for me, one of the dream I have is just going around with different places with a microphone and sit down with people and have full length conversations, 1 hour, 2 hours, just talk and get your perspective and dig in deep, just something that I feel like I want to spend part of my life doing. And for me, that's why I started the podcast. I like talking. I like conversations. I like hearing people talk and sharing their stories and hearing perspectives, making, I like hearing things that challenge my thoughts, worldviews that challenge my thoughts or my own, paradigms about life. I really enjoyed when I was doing the podcast in the early days when I would go different places and have conversations with people. Those were back then, those were like the big time of the podcast. And I want to bring that back for myself just because it's something that really gives me joy, apart from my work or other things, writing and having, big conversations like this is just really wonderful. Yeah, so that's something I'm still very much interested in. If you have a recommendation for someone you want to see on the show, just tell them about me or tell me about them and I'll make that connection work and I'll bring them to my podcast so that we can, do things, we can have conversations. And, you get to listen to who you want to listen to on the show. I think that's a win-win for both of us. So yeah, please link me up to some of your interesting people. Link me up to people who are doing big things or small things or things that matter. Anything that has purpose at its bottom line, I want to talk with that person or talk with those people. Anybody that you feel like has an interesting story, link me to them. I want to talk to them. I want to converse with them, interview them, anything, if they want to come to my podcast to ramble, I'm pretty fine with that, Interneuron is home for everybody. This is where you get your neurons sparked. So yeah, so how do you, something I also want to talk about is AI and stuff, A lot of my friends have been asking me a lot of questions about it. I was pretty much vocal about AI right from 2018, 17, 19, When I was still in university at the time, I was very obsessed with artificial intelligence. I still am, just more. I now have my own interest in the field, but broadly as broadly as we can define it, is still something that I am obsessed with, intelligence and alignment. I'm very much interested in those problems. I'm also interested in the ethics of AI as well. And so how it affects us as people and how we're going to change as people because of AI. So those are issues I am very much interested in. I've been thinking a lot about AI and stuff like that. I am going to write an essay about it. I've been pretty much drafting other essays right now, but my own perspectives on AI probably is not very important, but because it's coming from Kelvin, but it's still something I've been thinking about for a long time and it's something I will write out. But yeah, I also think that, because I think I saw an article from The Atlantic when writers, I think a bunch of writers signed a petition because their books were used to train AI algorithms. I want to know like what people think about that. I have my own perspectives on that, but I don't know. I mean, I know it sucks for the creatives who think they've spent all their time and they put their life's work out there and then they take it to train AI. But I don't know. What do you think? For me, I think that you were inspired by the world. Allow the world to be inspired by you. Just like how J. Cole said it. I feel like for me, I started writing on the internet right from 2016. I have a bunch of writing out there. I have a bunch of recording. I think I have more than 50 hours of conversational recording on the internet, and I don't really care if people take these things and train AI algorithms. If I never wanted it to be out there, or I've never posted them, and for me, it's just more my own worldview, my content, my writings, my thoughts, they are all out there. If anybody's scraping the internet and they use it to train their AI, I don't really care, to be honest. That's what's there, I feel like I've been inspired by people. I've read, I have listened, I have thought about things, and it's out there. It should, for me, it's just more. I feel surprised when people say things like that because you already made a certain amount of money from your work, which is very validating for you as a creator. As a creator, that people cared enough to pay you for something you made. That's already validating. And I know that some people, for some people, that's their livelihood. But, you still get your money. It's not as if people would not buy a book from you or new things that you would put out or things you've already put out. People are still paying you for those things. So why are you angry that they're using your work to train an AI algorithm those like algorithms will never truly be as good as you. They don't really have the human touch. So I don't know why you're bothered. I mean, that's my own perspective. And I know that that's not the perspective that everybody leans on. And that's fine, that's fine. I'm also a creator. I like to make things. I like to write, and I like to build things, If people want to see those things and make things out of them or use them to do other things, they can be free to do that. For me, I always believe that money would always come if that's what you're optimizing for and your work is good, it would always come so far you have talent. So I don't really care, I'm inspired by the world. I want the world to be inspired by me. If the world in this context means an AI algorithm, so be it, It should be used to train AI algorithms. I don't really care. That's just me. For me, I feel like knowledge should be something that is easily dispersed and transferred. I don't think we should hoard knowledge, If people hoarded their knowledge, I don't think we would have the world we live in today, So, yeah, that's my own perspective on that. Yeah, I don't know what else is happening in the world right now because low-key, I have been a bit disconnected from but I'm really happy to catch up, record more and talk with more people and upload more. Please reach out to me on Instagram, Twitter, or email. Anywhere you have my contact details from this podcast, please keep reaching out to me. I want to start creating like a community of people who just want to be curious and talk about things and write about things, or connect me with people who are doing things. I want to talk with people, not just salesmen who are like, out to bullshit the world. Something I've really learned in the past few months is that a lot of people just know how to bullshit more than they know how to do. And it drives me crazy that those are the people who rule our world, those are the people who climb the top ladder just because they know how to bullshit, not necessarily just because they don't really know how to do much, or they're not the most talented people or the most skilled people. Their talent is to bullshit people, and since they know how to bullshit people, they climb the ladder faster. Seems pretty weird to me, but I don't know. But that's the way our world works, and it's crazy to me. So yeah, I want to talk with more people who are doing than bullshitting. And I'm pretty much happy to connect with anyone. If you have a story you want to tell, reach out to me too. Yeah, that was just a quick ramble to tell you that Kelvin is alive. Hinted Neuron is very much alive, and I've been thinking, I've been doing, and you'll see soon. Have a great time, and I will see you soon in another episode. Stay curious.